My presentation today is called Building Compassion and Community. And if you know me at all, you won't be surprised to know that I'm going to start off with a quote. This quote is by Howard Thurman, who was an American theologian and civil rights leader. And he says, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And go do that, because the world needs people who have come alive." If this year has taught us anything, it's that we can no longer afford to put off until tomorrow what needs to be done today, even if it's hard, even if we don't feel prepared, even if we can't do everything, we can do something. And the best thing we can do is to find where our passions and our skills and the needs of the world intersect, and do it together. Today is Vitality Sunday. Vitality means the state of being strong, active, and healthy. So I can't read because you just, thank you. So I want to reflect on what makes DUC vital. What makes DUC vital to its members and vital to the world? What do we have to share with each other and the world? As Amanda Gorman said, we must lay down our arms so that we can reach our arms out to one another. If we can be compassionate towards ourselves and one another, even those that we disagree with, we can live into our principles of lifelong learning, search for truth and meaning, and respect for the web of life. We can be extraordinary students who remain curious and greet each mistake or hardship we encounter as an opportunity to learn, and we will understand that we can learn from another's path, not just our own path. When we build bridges with all of our brothers and sisters of the world and find strength and beauty in diversity, we will build a stronger, more inclusive, and vital community. Whether you call it your congregation, your women's group, your team, your barmates, or your circle of friends, it is helpful to have a microculture of support for around you. A microculture is simply a community, but the term microculture reminds us that our chosen group may nurture us and help us grow by emphasizing a different set of values than the culture at large. A microculture can also help us foster reconciliation of trauma and restorative justice. I hope you see Dakota UU Church as an important microculture or community that supports you. A microculture should support its members in two ways. The first is by showering each other with encouragement, and the second way is by holding each other accountable. All the members of the microculture must be people who we can debrief with, we can laugh with, brainstorm with, consult with, cry with, and become better people with. Isolation is an underpinning of oppression, and by consciously staying connected with others, we are taking an important step in our healing and our spiritual journey. In shamanic traditions throughout the world, communities recognize how important social cohesion is in order to tend to suffering and healing pain and trauma. Often these rituals involve integrating individuals or a group back into themselves and the larger social fabric, and it takes the form of singing, dancing, and celebrating together. I believe that while there is still more we can and want to do, at Dakota UU Church, we are doing a decent job of providing encouragement, connection, and celebration in our microculture. And with everyone's help, we will continue to do that. But I think we may want to consider looking more deeply in how we can hold each other accountable too, to learn from our mistakes and grow into our better selves, not just keeping things status quo, even when it gets hard. To be sustainable and to live our values out loud, we can't remain exclusive, but we must expand our microculture to our brothers and sisters in the larger web of life. If we truly want to live in a society that is not built upon oppressing and traumatizing groups of people, we must learn to be uncomfortable and tolerate unease, and to understand the systemic isms that we have grown up with and that are a part of us, even when we don't realize it. Maybe especially when we don't realize it. We want to be good, we want to be right, but that's not going to get us to where we need to go. As James Baldwin said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. The Quakers use a term, conscious oversight, the idea that everyone in the community or microculture is charged with enhancing the total health and sustainability of the community. Everyone is watching out for one another's good. Conscious oversight is about slowing down enough to reflect on the system and situation from a variety of perspectives and with a variety of ways of thinking. Also, to bring on ongoing deliberation into everyone's frame of reference and to support each other to stop, be present, reflect, and take the long view in the midst of our day-to-day. This oversight will help us to slow down and see the beauty all around us and will hopefully help us be more compassionate, showing compassion for ourselves and for others. An important aspect of holding each other accountable is to refuse to collude with our harmful internal patterns. Often these can be unconscious stress or trauma responses. In the book that I talked about before, Trauma Stewardship, she talked about a First Nations tribe on the coast of British Columbia in Canada. She said, like many Native communities, it will come together when someone asks to have a circle. Anyone in the community can request a circle, either to celebrate something or to ask for help. In this particular community, there has been an understanding. If someone in the community asks for a circle, you show up. But it doesn't stop there. There is an agreement that if you realize as you listen that you've been called to this circle more than once before, in other words, that same person is asking for help on the same matter for the third time, then you will get up and move 20 feet over. The entire circle will rise and follow you. The person who hoped to revisit the struggle yet again will have to decide if he or she wants to sit alone or if he or she is willing to move on and join the new circle. Move the circle is now a common expression among my family and friends. We say it whenever it seems that one of us has been ruminating on something long enough. I love that when I read that. So in closing, I want to leave you with this thought. While we can't prevent all disasters or crises or violence, we can and should do what we can to reduce those things. For the rest, we must build resilience so the pain and suffering can be reduced. If we want to reduce pain and suffering, we must learn a way of being that is different from the way that caused the pain and suffering in the first place. We must learn to be present, to stay curious, and focus on the vision of what we want to see more than what we want to get rid of. Because what we pay attention to persists, right? We can always be present in our lives, for the lives of all other beings and the life of the planet. Being present is a radical act. It allows us to soften the impact of trauma, interrupt the forces of oppression, and set the stage for healing and transformation. Best of all, our quality of presence is something we can cultivate moment by moment. It permits us to greet what arises in our lives with our most enlightened selves, thereby allowing us to have the best chance of truly repairing the world. It is my hope that we can help each other do that here at Dakota UU Church. Malcolm X said, I for one believe that if you give people a thorough understanding of what confronts them and the basic causes that produce it, they'll create their own program. And when the people create a program, you get action. Do you want to continue this important work at Dakota UU Church? I hope so. Because as Reverend Rose Schwab says, no matter who you are or whom you love or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. After some music for meditation, we're going to have a short discussion about Dakota UU Church's role in the web of life, what makes you come alive, what makes the church come alive, and what makes the flame burn within our heart and soul. Where does our hunger and passion come together? In other words, how can we turn our energy into creating the world we want to live in?
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Wow,